Theologian Podcast with your host, King 7.
So, I want to go ahead and get into. Hey man, how y'all doing? First of all, let's start with that. How y'all doing? It is Wednesday, January the 3rd. Yeah, January the 3rd. That's what I'm gonna say for now. First things first. I know that it's choppy, and I found out why. And first of all, I'm gonna tell y'all something. If you ever heard the statement, "Don't believe everything you see on the internet," that's real. The reason why you don't believe everything you see on the internet is because sometimes things are illustriously created or put together in order to ensure the quality of the content is presented right. Because if y'all knew how dirty the studio is right now, y'all just don't see it on camera. Because like I said, I know it's choppy. I know it is. And I was looking for this piece. I cannot find it. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I had one, didn't have one. I know. Okay. So first and foremost, thank you for joining. Like I said, this is, if you didn't hear, this is the Hood Theologian Podcast. And yes, I'm glad you're here. Glad you joined us. But this will be officially the last time it looks choppy like this. Now, the great thing about it is that on the Saya TV, which they're about to have a lot of new episodes loading, on the Saya TV, it's not choppy. Because knowing that we live in an imperfect world, the Most High gave me some wisdom on how to, keep that from being an issue or what have you, right? So, the episodes on the Side TV will be clear. I know it's choppy on here right now. I appreciate everybody joining. Round of applause for y'all for tuning in. I got to shout out. Okay, thank you. I got to shout out some of my sponsors. One of the most important is the Brandworks Group, which is responsible for everything that you ever see me do, whether it's through our music, just like the creation of it. The Brandworks Group, they made this banner, created these what you see. Am I pointing the right way? This. They make it all, right? And I'm grateful to have the Brandworks Group in my life. Can't do it without y'all. Also, I don't have anything from them today, but Life Over Death Clothing, also a big sponsor, and the soon to be released clothing line Melanin Supply. Also, gotta shout everybody out that is playing a part. Want to make sure I'm not forgetting nobody. The Light Hebrew Magazine, 3MG Music, and somebody else I'm forgetting that I want to make sure I highlight because there's a lot of good stuff going on around me. I'm blessed to be part. Oh, the Boss Set Company, another great marketing company. But it's a lot of stuff going on around me, y'all. And I know that y'all like, we don't see you really talking that much about your show, marketing it that much. Trust me, it's not for no reason. A lot is going on right now. Uh, but I'm one of the firm believers of, you can't announce every good move. Um, just why? It spoils the surprise. It spoils, like, if you think, I'm not. This is not a credence to the content or even really the artistry of this individual, but just the business mind behind. I'll never forget. Say what you will. When Beyonce dropped that album, the self-titled album, like, people went crazy. People went literally bonkers over this album that literally released out of nowhere, all that. Now, independent artists, I am not telling you to do that, okay? You're not ready for that yet. All right? But that doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying, you can't get there, or there's not a time for it. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, like, we can bring back some of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Some of the appreciation and the mystique of artistry, and the mystique and appreciation of just things having their sensational opportunities. One thing I have to say, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree, everybody tuning in on YouTube, by the way, I appreciate y'all. You have to agree that we have become a very desensitized world as a whole, right? It's just, one, we're a very microwave thinking generation, I guess you could say. Very instant gratification based, for lack of a better way to put it. And the reason why that's kind of disheartening, if I'm being honest, is because the reality is that not everything comes to you like that, right? And sometimes, excuse me, sometimes if that's the way you perceive that things are supposed to be, or things are supposed to go, you lose sight of how much you should be able to value it. So I'm back. This this title for this show is New Year, New You. Are you sure? But before we get into that, couple things I want to get into. First of all, I want to make something very clear. Whether or not I celebrate this as the new year, there are some things that are, to me, non-negotiable. And they were never negotiable, and they won't be negotiable today, tomorrow, or ever. And one of those things is reverence. Even when I was out running the streets, I knew when I went to church, regardless of if they were teaching the right thing or not, church was not a place to be playing around. Now, as my understanding increased, and the Most High continued to walk me through a path of understanding and wisdom, there are things that I began to understand that are beneficial to, his glory and his usage, right? But I remember, even back in 1996, I was in the 6th grade. I know I'm aging myself, but I don't really care because I look great to be 39. Back in 1996, I was in the 6th grade, and our youth pastor, like, all praise to the Most High for him being at the place and trying to usher kids into what he knew at the time to be right. Like, I heard my homie Dante say, like, in the South, really, holiness and living right always been a thing. Now, does that mean everybody was living it? Of course not. Of course not. But it is not new. And, some people can say they came from slavery, things like that, whatever. But in the South, it never was. A lot of things were never okay. And so when I look at, even the origins and the basis of where some of these pastors are, I mean, y'all know where I'm going probably. Where these pastors are from, you kind of see like, oh, you ain't from around here. I mean, take that respectfully, disrespectfully, whatever. I don't really care. But like in the South, you weren't bold enough to do it. Like I said, in '96, I remember getting in trouble in youth church for playing an instrumental of Silk the Shocker. It was just an instrumental, and another group actually was performing to the song, but I was doing the sound. And when I say like that was an issue, oh, it was an issue. And you know what I'm saying? Like, now looking back, do I think that was a little extreme? Yeah, of course I do. However, I can't put it past my understanding of why, the youth pastor at the time wasn't going for that. He was not going for it. And truth be told, I appreciate him for that. Because even before it had a title or whatever, I mean, as far as like a church, whatever, I don't know. Like they were trying to instill living a righteous life, according to the Bible, in you know what I'm saying? What up though? Troy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, word of faith, like they was trying to get us to, I mean, like I said, regardless of who was doing what, if you was representing that crimson and wheat, if you was talking about G5G, you knew 1 Corinthians 6:20, I'm bought with a price, therefore glorify God in your body and your spirit, which are God's. Like, you knew the creed because they were like, even though it felt very rule based and not so much relationship based, they were, I got a witness, they were really trying to, I say the best way they knew how at the time, they were trying to get us to live right, right? Now, that being said, like I said, there is a time when you're building up the function of people around you where you have to insert an understanding of how to build a relationship with the Most High as much as teaching the Bible, right? And I feel that there are a lot of disparities nationwide when it comes to that. In the so-called truth, if you're a Hebrew Israelite, in the church, if you're teaching holiness, whatever. Because, I just say it, people have become very hungry for control. Very hungry for control. Very hungry to ensure their entitlement and their dominance over people. Now, that's when it gets wrong. Point blank, period. I don't care what you say, that's when it gets wrong. Because what I can say is that same establishment has come under some very intense scrutiny, because it was like the people at the top, well, what y'all got going on? You feel what I'm saying? And then I even said it to the youth leader one time when I went back. They asked me, to the youth, one of the youth ministers, they asked me to go back as a youth leader to the summer camp that they had, like when I was a kid. And I told this story, but like I felt like I was getting groomed to be a youth pastor. But one of the things I told one of the youth ministers, I was like, I feel that we focus too much on telling people what to do and not telling them how to do it. And that is not cool. It brought tears to his eyes. Brought tears to his eyes. Why? Because even though right now at January 3rd, 7:34, I will tell you, the word of God says that if we love God, we're to keep his commandments, right? But if I'm trying to make sure, or if I'm teaching that to somebody else, I can't say, keep the commandments and then walk off on you. I think that's foul. I think it's disingenuous to tell somebody, keep the commandments, that don't have no clue what the commandments even are, or what they look like, or what it means. How does it apply to me? And don't tell you nothing else. I feel it's disingenuous. I feel you're doing people a disservice. And if that's all you're going to do, shut up. I don't care. Because here's the thing. Christ himself actually had folk walking with him, showing them. So you can't tell me that we don't got no examples of people living out the laws, living out the way Christ or the Most High expected us to live, right? Without giving people the opportunity to understand how to do it. He was with them cats documented at least 3 years, right? So at what point in time can we say, nah, just do it? And that's it. That's messed up. Because I'm going to tell you what happens. What happens is you end up with these people that make church look crazy on New Year's Eve. And yes, it looks crazy. I don't care if you don't like what I'm saying. It looks crazy. Here's why it looks crazy. Somebody said to me earlier, if it's still helping some people to get saved, does it really hurt that much? Yes. Here's why. That's like me saying, as a general over a specific amount of people in an army, y'all go fight this war. I know there's going to be casualties or a possibility of casualties, but I don't even make it seem like I care, or that the casualties are not a costly sacrifice. The casualties are a costly sacrifice. I can't say, well, as long as we win, I don't care. You start, let me tell you, you start treating these folks that's dying in this army like they don't matter. I mean, they got their own versions of this story, but you really like make it publicly known that the casualties of war are irrelevant and are not to be considered as long as we get the victory. I guarantee you this country will shut down. So how can we say, well, as long as it's doing this and that, does it really matter? Yes, man. Like, think about what you're saying. Because here's what we're not considering. We swagging and surfing, but listen to what the lyrics in this song are saying. It's talking about drug use. It's talking about alcoholism. They played another song. Now these are songs that in my days when I chose to be in the club that we was dancing to in the club, getting drunk. So you can't tell me, oh, that's not what's behind the song. The spirit on the song is the spirit on the song, period. That's not negotiable. You can't argue that down with me. I am a musician. I know how this works. The spirit on the song is the spirit on the song because they knew what they needed to do in order to sell a record, in order to get a spin. So, no, that's not a game we can play. You can't take me there. Promise you. Now, do I understand what the attempt was? Yes. Do I think there was a way better way to do it? Yes. If nothing else, I can name you 5 gospel rappers. We ain't even got to talk about that claim to be elevated thinking, Hebrew Israelites in the truth. We ain't got to go through all of that. I can tell you right now 5 gospel artists whom, by the way, when I make this 144mixtapes.com show, they going to be on here. Why? Because they music fire and they represent God the right way. I can tell you 5. 1K Few, Chris Elijah, where my list at? I don't even gotta get it. What's the boy name? Why would I stress about that? Him, my boy Zilla. I know I said I could name 5, but I can. I got a list of them right here. If anybody think this cap. Hold on. Since I can't remember, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up right now. I've been doing so many different things. These notes is on something totally different. I'm going to show y'all. Look. Glow. And these are just people that are self-proclaimed holy hip-hop artists. His name is Alex Jean. Why would I scratch about that? Alex Jean. Toya Love. Childlike CC. Then I can add a Naviel the Servant. Canal 104, Hezekiah be snapping. Paisley, I could name so many people that could have been played if you want that vibe in your New Year's Eve service. Miss me with that. You want some bass? You want people to dance and have a good time? It don't have to be. I'm on Hypnotic, Exotic, the Polo on my back. No, I'm sorry. Now, that's my rant on that. I'm done. I didn't mean to even take that long, but I'm passionate about that. Like I said, one thing that's not negotiable is reverence. And if you say that you're trying to revere the Most High, that's like, come on. Now, that doesn't limit it to just not doing that. Once you get that right, you need to take a look at everything else that he told you to and not to do. And if we want to walk through that and we want some help with that, you don't got it all figured out, that's cool. I can find you a brother if you don't want to talk to me. I can find you a sister if you don't want to talk to me that can show you, hey, listen, this ain't that and that ain't this. On a lighter note, man, this dude, Cat Williams, he took a match and threw it on a pile of dynamite when he went on Shannon Sharp's show, Club Shay Shay. I was going to pull up the clips. The reason why I didn't is because going back to my point, everything that you see, every story that you hear ain't always what people finesse it to be. And he exposed a lot of stuff. I'm gonna just leave it at that. He exposed a lot of comedians, mainly comedians that been telling stories that was not true. Like I said, I can make this room look like, oh man, Seven got a dope setup, man. That room look nice. This studio is dirty. I was trying to find that cord. This studio tore up. I just knew what to get out the view of the camera. But yeah, don't believe it all. I'm telling you. The hype will have you going down a path that ain't really even, it ain't it. Now, all that said, on to the main topic. I'm not going to be here long. How long am I in right now? Pushing 30 minutes. All right, cool. So I made a post. I copied it actually from somebody. I can't remember who I copied it from. And the post basically was talking about how December to January is not the new year, and that March to April is the new year. Excuse me. And then it actually gave, the reason why I posted it, definitely I know, was that it actually gave the scripture reference that was associated with the idea that was given. But well, yeah, at least it's cold. But that's not the new year. So to make it make sense, before I even get into the scriptures on this, Jason, thank you for joining, by the way. I looked this up. I can't show y'all my source because they're not paying me, but I looked this up, right here. It says, I asked, when did the new year switch to January? And its response said it's a little more nuanced. Let me pull it up on my it's a little more nuanced than a single switch date. The history of when the new year begins on January 1st has some twists and turns. Here's a breakdown. In ancient Rome before 153 BCE, I never saw this E part on the BC until today. Now, we're going to get into that in a minute because, anyway, before 153 BCE, the Roman year started on different dates, including March 15th and May 1st. Now, I have to go back to the scriptures at this point to give this relevance. We have to understand why, okay? Exodus chapter 12. Genesis, Exodus. Exodus chapter 12. Starting at verse...
The Hood Theologian Podcast with your host, King 7.
Starting at verse 2. This month... Well, no, let's go back. It really is good, like starting in 11. But for time's sake, I'm gonna just start at 12, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Now, what does that mean? On its own, not a thing. All right? But let me give you a little context. This scripture is right before God tells them what to do concerning Passover. How do I know? Let's keep reading. Verse 3. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him blah, blah, blah. All right? He's telling them that that lamb is included in whatever they're about to do. And wait. Here we go. 13, verse 13. Now, it talks about getting blood from a lamb, the same lamb, putting it over the doorpost. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. This is where Passover came from. I'm not making these words up. It's in the scriptures. Now, this is in the same chapter where he says, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of a year to you. All right. Well, let's go back to this this passage right here when it talks about it. It says, before 153 BCE, the Roman year started on different dates, including March 15th and May 1st. So I got another question. I asked it down here, but we'll come back to that. When is Passover celebrated? Let's scroll down a little bit so y'all can see. Now, this is basing this information on Hasidic Jewish tradition, okay? So before anybody chimes in and says anything different, I'm already looking at this and I know. But still, with that being said, it says the next Passover celebration will begin on the evening of Monday, April 22nd, 2024, and continue until now. The reason why it's that long, first and foremost, is because in that Exodus chapter 12, it actually points out the Feast of Unleavened Bread. That's the beginning of Passover. Anyway, but it says April. So let's ask it one more question. Let's ask it one more question to be fair, right? I know this is going to sound like, where did you get this from? But it'll make sense. What month is Abib? Now, this says Abib doesn't have a single fixed month in our modern calendar because the timing and context is messed up. We're gonna scroll back up for this because this is important. But in the Hebrew calendar, Abib was the original name for the first month of the Jewish ecclesiastical year, coinciding with the 7th month of the civil year. Meaning, it translates to green ears of grain, basically saying this is when stuff can grow. So, again, Exodus 12 says, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. We've identified it clearly. It says that Abib is the first month. This says that, oh, no, I'm sorry. Not there yet. This says that it was changed in 153 BCE. This is getting deep. Because we just have gone along and went with whatever we heard, right? But the Bible says, study to show yourself approved for a reason. For a reason, folks. All right, so look. It says that down here, to address calendar inaccuracies, Pope Gregory did something didn't nobody tell him to do. Mind the business that the Most High did not give him. I don't care what you say. He was not ordained to do this. Introduced the Gregorian calendar in 1582. Retaining January 1st as a new year. Why? Anybody tell him to do that? The issue was that they felt that they did not have control. People over here celebrating it at this time because, mind you, everybody's doing what they want to do. It was told to them when the first of the year was. But if this man had at least just looked at the Bible instead of just making up something, he would have been halfway right telling everybody what to do. But he just said, I want it to be January 1st. Why? We don't even know for sure if this, as far as a season goes, if we're even in the right year. The Bible has proved me right. So this is no longer a discussion of whether or not Seven knows what he's talking about. This says right here, this man changed it in 1582. Now, England and its colonies finally switched to January 1st in 1752. We know where some of its colonies are. The great U.S. of A. Now, here's why this is so screwed up. And I found out what BCE means today, going back to this point. BCE stands for before the Common Era. This designation emerged as a secular alternative to before Christ. They know it's secular. Anyway, aiming to be more inclusive and to avoid explicitly referencing Christian terminology. So, again, we're going to change it because Christ makes us uncomfortable. But your whole keeping of time is based on Christ. This refutes anybody that don't believe the New Testament ain't real. This refutes anybody that believes Christ ain't real. Time is set based on him being here. I don't care if you change the name. This designation emerged as a secular alternative. So that means that there was something first. Alternative to before Christ. Aiming to be more inclusive and to avoid explicitly referencing Christian terminology. Man, miss me with that. Reasons for BCE. Religious neutrality. BCE avoids favoring Christianity and promotes inclusivity for people of different faiths or non-religious backgrounds. But they timekeeping is still based on Christ. I don't care if you want to change it. Now, I just got one question for you. How much more proof do you need? This is not to say that 7 is right. This is not to this ain't about, I don't know how you want to word it. It's right here. If Passover is celebrated this year on April 22nd, and the first Passover feast was preceded by the Most High telling Moses and Aaron when the first month of years is? Are we there or no? Listen, y'all. Like I said, I won't gonna be here long. I find it uniquely saddening that we can do things so blindly when information is right here in front of us. That being said, I encourage everybody to get into the presence of God, to hear from God, and do what he tells you to do. Not because 7 got it all figured out and 7's right. I could be wrong. I'm not wrong about this because I just proved it. But about other things, I may be wrong. My thing to you is this. If you want to swag surf into the new year in your church, knock yourself out. Understand what that's going to get you. Every other thing that goes against the Bible and what it says, if you want to do those things because it feels good and it's fun and it's a family tradition, knock yourself out. But here's the reality. Every man answers for himself before the Most High. When it's all said and done, I have to be accountable and responsible for what I do. I can't say I did it because Pastor so-and-so said I'm acting too righteous, so I thought it was okay. I'm acting too saved in church, so I thought it was okay. Sorry. What you want me to say? I ain't got no way to cook that up for you to make it sound dope. It's wrong. And when you look at things from the lens of, let's just look at our example. Christ. Christ is our example. Yes or yes? Okay. So that being said, if Christ is our example, then do it the way he did it. Listen to the words that he said. Look at the things he observed. Look at the things he celebrated, and see whether or not your life is lining up with that. Now, I'm not saying be perfect, because ain't nobody perfect. But are you making excuses for doing wrong? That's when it gets dangerous. Are you literally going to try to excuse away wrong? I can just imagine the cringe. I can just imagine the cringe. If Christ is going to flip a table over for them selling stuff in the temple, I can just imagine to what degree he would have lost it about them swag surfing in the house of prayer. Now, we all know the bodies of the temple. I just quoted that scripture earlier. But y'all got to do better, man. It's so many layers to me even saying that, but at least start with not playing in God's face. Don't play in his face. You that kind of bad? You that kind of bold? You just gonna play in the Most High face like that? Stay far away from me. Stay far, far, far away from me. We ain't cool. I wouldn't even play that when I was on the streets. You're not finna play with God around me. They knew. I don't care if I just got done smoking weed, drinking 5 minutes ago. When it come to God, you're not finna play. I heard somebody even bring up that example. We don't know what people was doing right before they walked up on the stage. They could have been smoking weed. This is at the end of the day. Nobody's talking about perfection. We're talking about a clear understanding of where reverence belongs. Ain't no misunderstanding on that. Play with somebody else. Cause that's not ever going. But anyway, it's your hood theologian. My name's King 7. I'm glad y'all came. For everybody that tuned in. Hey, listen. Let's see. Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Listen, y'all. It is not cheap to run a podcast. And I am learning that. After being 2 months in with 2 weeks off, it's not cheap to do it. If the Lord lays it on your heart, this is the Cash App. I ain't even make no whole sign because this is not about like hustling nobody. But that's it. That's the Cash App. Send some if you want to. It's going to help something. It's not cheap to do this. Like I said, I know I'm choppy this week. That won't happen no more. But yeah, I'm just, I'm here. I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to quit till the Most High tell me to. I took 2 weeks off because my son was out of school and I just wanted to fully enjoy that time with him. Nothing is more important ministry-wise to me other than family. So I love y'all, but y'all always going to come second to my family. And I learned that from my good brother, Canton Jones.